welcome to the channel for my Premier League predictions. Game week 19, game week 18, which was the Boxing Day fixtures, came with shock and surprises. Chelsea lost 2-1 to Fulham. Manchester City also drew 1-1 against Everton at the Etihad. In that game, Erling Haaland missed a penalty. And Man United also lost 2-0 against Wolves in game week 18. The only big team that won on that day was Liverpool. They got a 3-1 victory over Leicester City. Looking out for spot-on predictions. My like target for this video is just 100 likes. Like, comment your predictions and your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel. Without wasting much of your time, let's get into the game week 19 predictions. Yes, so to begin, the first game in game week 19 at the King Power Stadium is between Leicester City versus Manchester City. Looking at the table, Manchester City at the moment, they are 7th on the Premier League table with 28 points plus of 4 goals. Leicester City at the moment, they are also 18th on the Premier League table with 14 points minus of 18 goals. In game week 18, Leicester City lost 3-1 against Liverpool, and Manchester City also drew 1-1 against Everton. Manchester City, in their last 13 games in all competition, they've managed to get only 1 win out of 13 games, which is very shocking and unbelievable. Going to this game in game week 19 against Leicester City, who are also struggling for their life at the relegation bottom, this is going to be a tough and interesting game. But well, I'm predicting a straight win for Manchester City. My prediction for this game, Manchester City 3, Leicester City 1. Yeah, so moving on to the next game at the Selhurst Park is between Crystal Palace versus Southampton. Looking at the league table, Crystal Palace at the moment, they are 16th on the Premier League table with 17 points minus of 8 goals. Looking at Southampton, to their 20th at the bottom of the league table with 6 points minus of 26 goals as it stands in game week 18. Going to this game in game week 19 at the Selhurst Park is going to be a very tough game for both sides. And Crystal Palace managed a 0-0 draw against AFC Bournemouth, and Southampton also lost their game 1-0. Going to this game in game week 19, I'm predicting Crystal Palace to get a 2-1 victory over Southampton. Crystal Palace 2, Southampton 1. Yeah, so moving on to the next game at the Goodison Park is between Everton versus Nottingham Forest. Looking at the league table, Nottingham Forest at the moment, they are now 4th on the Premier League table with 34 points plus of 4 goals. Looking at Everton at the moment, they are also 15th on the Premier League table with 17 points minus of 7 goals. Going to this game in game 19 at the Goodison Park, this is going to be a tough and interesting game. In game week 18, Everton got a 1-1 draw against Manchester City, and Nottingham Forest also managed to get a 1-0 victory over Tottenham Hotspur. Going to this game at the Goodison Park, I'm predicting this game to end in a 3-1 victory for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest 3, Everton 1. Yes, so moving on to the next game is between Fulham versus AFC Bournemouth. In game week 18, Fulham managed to get a 2-1 victory over Chelsea. Bournemouth also ended in a 0-0 draw in game week 18. Going to this game in game week 19 is going to be an interesting clash between both teams. Looking at the league table, AFC Bournemouth at the moment, they are now 6th on the Premier League table with 28 points. Looking at Fulham too, they are also 8th on the Premier League table with 26 points. Going to this game is going to be an interesting clash. I'm predicting a 2-2 draw. AFC Bournemouth 2, Fulham 2. Yes, so moving on to the next game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is between Tottenham Hotspur versus Wolves. In game week 18, Wolves managed to get a 2-0 victory over Manchester United, and Tottenham Hotspur also lost 1-0 against Nottingham Forest in game week 18, which was the Boxing Day. Looking at the league table, Tottenham Hotspur at the moment, they are now 12th on the Premier League table with 23 points plus of 13 goals. Looking at Wolves too at the moment, they are now 17th on the Premier League table with 15 points minus of 11 goals. Since Wolves sacked their head coach, they've gotten 2 out of 2. They've won all their last 2 games. Going to this game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Tottenham is going to be an interesting game. Going to this game, I'm predicting Wolves to get a 2-1 victory over Tottenham Hotspur. Wolves to Tottenham Hotspur 1. Yes, so moving on to the next game at the London Stadium is between West Ham United versus Liverpool. Looking at the league table, Liverpool at the moment they are on top of the Premier League table with 42 points plus of 23 goals out of 17 games as it stands in game week 18. Going to this fixture against West Ham United side, who is also at the moment 13th on the Premier League table with 23 points minus of 7 goals out of 18 games. This is going to be an interesting and a very tough game at the London Stadium. Going to this game, I'm predicting this game to end in a draw. I'm predicting Liverpool to West Ham United 2. Yes, so moving on to the next game at the Villa Park is between Aston Villa versus Brighton. Looking at the league table at the moment, Aston Villa they are 9th on the Premier League table with 28 points. Looking at Brighton too on the league table, they are also 10th on the Premier League table with 26 points out of 18 games in the Premier League. Going to this game at the Villa Park in game week 19 is going to be a very tough game for both sides. Going to this game, I'm predicting this game to end in a hot draw. I'm predicting a 2-2 draw. Aston Villa to Brighton 2. Yes, so moving on to the next game is between Ipswich Town versus Chelsea. Going to this game in game week 19 is going to be a very tough game. Looking at Ipswich Town on the league table, they are now 19th on the Premier League table with 12 points minus of 17 goals as it stands in game week 18. Looking at Chelsea too on the league table, they are now 3rd on the Premier League table with 35 points plus of 17 goals as it stands in game week 18. Going to this game is going to be a tough game. In game week 18, Chelsea lost 2-1 against Fulham and Ipswich Town also lost 1-0 in game week 18. Going to this game in game week 19 is going to be an interesting game, but I'm predicting Chelsea to get a 2-0 victory over Ipswich Town. Chelsea to Ipswich Town 0. Yes, so moving on to the next game at the Old Trafford Stadium is between Manchester United versus Newcastle United. Going to this game, Manchester United is coming from a 2-0 down against Wolves in game week 18. And Newcastle United also got a victory in their game in game week 18. Going to this game in game week 19, looking at the league table, Newcastle at the moment, they are now 5th on the Premier League table with 28 points plus of 9 goals as it stands in game week 18. Looking at Manchester United too, they are now 14th on the Premier League table with 22 points out of 18 games minus 3 goals as it stands in game week 18. Going to this game at the Old Trafford in game week 19 is going to be a very tough game, and I'm predicting Newcastle United to get a victory over Manchester United. My prediction for this game, Newcastle United to Manchester United 1. Yes, so moving on to the next game at the G-Tech Community Stadium is between Brentford versus Arsenal. Going to this game, Arsenal is coming from a 1-0 win over Ipswich Town in game week 18. And Brentford also drew their game in game week 18. Going to this game in game week 19, Brentford at the moment on the league table, they are 11th on the Premier League table with 24 points out of 18 games plus of 0 goal as it stands in game week 18. Looking at Arsenal too on the Premier League table, they are 2nd on the Premier League table with 36 points plus of 19 goals as it stands in game week 18. Going to this game at the G-Tech Community Stadium is going to be an interesting game. And you know, whenever Arsenal meet Brentford, always is a game of surprises, and this game could end in a draw. And I'm predicting a high-scoring draw. My prediction for this game, Brentford to Arsenal 2. Yes, so these are my predictions for Premier League game week 19. My name is Andy Fine. I'm a like target for this video is just 100 likes. Like, subscribe, comment your predictions and your thoughts. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you all. Till we meet in another video. Bye bye for now.
Well, first of all, Merry Christmas to everyone except the Wolves, clearly. They took the Boxing Day theme a bit too literally and gave us a proper beating. I'm starting to think their midfield is sponsored by GPS because they tracked every single ball we try to play. Look, it's not the result we wanted, but we did learn something important today. Santa doesn't deliver 3 points. Next time, we'll send our wish list to the FA instead. Oh, absolutely. The bus didn't break down on the way here, and our fans still sang louder than theirs. Small wins, right?